Welcome to the Black Delegates podcast. The date is February the 25th, 2018. I am your host, the Black Ryan. I'm on the line with, let's start off with Ghetto Phenom. What's good, man?
What's good? Happy to be here another week.
Good. And how about you, Paul?
Doing well. Paul is doing well.
You referring yourself to in the third person now, man?
I'm like a wrestler, man, in third person.
All right. So let's get right into it, y'all. So let's start with This Week in Blackness. I will start off with you, Phenom. Go ahead.
Yo, This Week in Blackness was pretty good, man. It was pretty interesting. I will just share one story with you. Involves a friend who actually may be on the show within the next couple of weeks. But dude is a basketball coach, high school basketball coach for a girls team. I won't name the school. But went to the game, district championship game. He actually was playing against our alma mater, Ryan, and so I was excited to go there, watch him. I really didn't have a rooting interest because it's my old school against my homeboy school, so I just wanted to see a good game. Now, my partner's got a little bit of an a quick temper. He got a quick temper. He's known for that. I done seen him kicked out of middle school, grade school games, coaching. I think he's been kicked out of games at every level. Let's just say that. However, in the past couple of years, he has calmed down. So I usually go check out a couple of his games each year. And, he's really toned down his animation and, getting mad and this and that. So make a long story short, first quarter of this game against our alma mater, one of his girls takes a fall. She got pinballed off of two defenders, fell to the ground, ball went out of bounds, no call. So the young lady, she rolls over to get up, and her mouth is just all bloody, just blood everywhere. Just looked really, really bad.
Wow.
So no foul was called. Everybody in the crowd's like, where's the foul? So my partner, he walked past the refs, didn't say a word. Helped this girl, the doctor came out, the doctor had to help her, give her some medical treatment or whatever. She ended up being fine. He walked back past the refs, went, sat on the bench, didn't say nothing to him. I was surprised, because usually he would have flipped off the handle. So, anyway, one ref comes over, says a Caucasian gentleman, and says something to him, and he said something back. At the time, I couldn't hear it, but it didn't look like he cussed him out. I've seen him cuss plenty of people out, and that's not what it looked like. But he said something to him. The ref hit him up with a tech instantly. So, like 3 minutes into this district championship game, my homies hit up with a tech. So then another referee, this was a black gentleman, he came over and started talking to him as well. Now, as a sports guy, I'm wondering why are these refs coming over to him, especially after that type of no call, and he hadn't said anything to him. Mm-hmm. So the other ref said something to him. He did go off on him. I could read the body language that he was going off on the black gentleman. And he looked like he was going to hit him with a second tech, but he thought better. I'm sure he figured, hey, it's district championship. He got a right to be mad. They know they should have made that call. So he just kind of backed away, and left it alone. So 5 minutes later, we're still in the first quarter of this game. The ref that teed him up the first time is all the way across the court, and my partner's talking to one of his players, waving his hands, telling her, do this, make this cut, get back on D, whatever. And the ref, I guess, thought he was talking to him, and gave him a warning or told him, hey, watch it. And he told him, hey, I'm coaching my team. Technical foul number 2, you out of here.
Man, that's ridiculous.
And it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Because I told him myself, I said, look, I've seen you get kicked out of games. I've seen you when you should have got kicked out of games and you didn't. But neither of those texts were warranted. So, but it, that's my week in blackness just because it's a black coach with 2 black teams. I can't say it's racism because most of the girls on our alma mater are black. The coach is white, but most of the girls are black. All his girls were black. So it's not a racial thing, but it was just interesting to see that and see the dynamics of how that played out. So that's my week in blackness. What about Paul?
Not much, man. Had a pretty quiet week here. The weather was really nice. So it was actually my wife's birthday this week. So
Happy birthday.
Spent a little time with her. Went nothing special. Went to a little lunch and went shopping at the mall yesterday. So saw a lot of crazy people at the mall.
Megan.
Pretty interesting. Yeah, man, that's right. MAGA, and that's what I was doing out there, making the economy function. So yeah, we had a good time, and that was really it, man. Just hanging out with the family. What about you, Ryan?
My weekend blackness was, oh man.
Black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all. I'm blickety black, blacker than black, I'm blacker than black, yo, because I'm black and I'm black. Yo, I'm black and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all.
That's how my week was.
We're doing sound effects now. Okay,
that's exactly how my week was. So yeah, so we had I'll just skip to Friday, but me and Ishmael got a chance to hit up a high school district championship for a pretty high-ranking player here in Missouri. Got to check him out. Yeah, so I was worried that I wouldn't be able to see him again in high school, so I had to make sure I got to that game. And he had a quiet 33 points. So I enjoyed the game, though. It was real good. Then got a chance to slide out and go see Black Panther.
Oh yeah,
so I finally got to see it. I know it's been 7 days. Oh my God, I can't believe I took so long.
You have been taken off probation, brother.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I can remain black for one more week. But yeah, man, I got to check it out and snuck off with my wife. We were supposed to do something else, but you know how people are. Sometimes people don't show up or they try to go on CP time. And I was like, yeah, let's cancel this. Let's roll out. So I just left. So we just rolled out and I beelined immediately to a theater. On the way there, I'm driving and texting like I'm not supposed to. Checking Black Panther seating charts at all the theaters on the way, plenty of which were sold out. And then I finally found one, and I was like, I'm going to try to just get out there. My PayPal, for whatever reason, wasn't picking it up to pay for the tickets in advance. So we got there. Just happened to be two seats.
Insufficient funds.
Nah, bruh.
Very black.
I was able to scrape up the $20 I needed to go see the movie. And they had 2 tickets in the back corner. And so we sat back there in the recliners and got to watch it with a theater full of white folks. So it was real cool. Yeah. We was pretty far away, but apparently the white people waited until we were done, and then they were like, "Now we can go to the movies because it's back to normal." So yeah, man, I really love the movie. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but just wanted to say that was the blackest thing I have ever witnessed on the big screen.
How so? Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Man, from start to finish, it was just it was nothing but black. The references were black. The music, of course, was black. You could just tell that the actors weren't trying to act and be somebody else. I'm pretty sure Michael B. Jordan was just being Michael B. Jordan. Right. He was just talking normal. He was using his normal slang. It was cool, man. It just, I don't know, it was just a different vibe about how everybody was kind of moving during the movie. So I guess I don't know how to explain that. And for once, it wasn't a slave movie, so I was definitely excited about that, man. And just plot wise, the movie was great. It was good. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Where do you rank it at in your Marvel or your
in my pantheon?
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm gonna put it at number 2, still behind Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier is still my favorite because Winter Soldier was just dope. It was a cinematic masterpiece. But
I don't think I checked that out. I had to go find that. Now, Paul, have you seen it yet? Or you still?
I have not seen it yet. It's gonna be a minute before I check it out. But it's on the list on the to-do list. My wife actually mentioned it taking this week, but we got the little one, so she was like, maybe we can just go to see a matinee show and catch it like at 11, and it won't be the theater be quiet. And I was like, I do not want to subject any moviegoer
that would be rough.
To that, and I don't want to catch the fade in the theater if we do that. So I wisely decided against bringing a toddler with an iPad into the Black Panther experience. But it's definitely on the to-do list. I've got the Dirt and Whiskey dashiki ready to go. So as soon as I can get a chance to see it, I'm gonna throw the Dirt and Whiskey dashiki on. And check it out.
Man,
Hey, I'm sure Dirk Nowitzki has seen Black Panther. He probably seen it 3 or 4 times already.
oh, he got to. His wife would just kick him out. She'd
Right.
be done with him. Now, so basically, I mean, it was kind of like a Black Game of Thrones to me, which I really enjoyed. It was I saw in the credits there was a person involved in the movie. Her name was Molisha, Molleshia. Shout out to Molisha. Blackest thing I've seen in the credits ever in my life. When I left the theater, no lie, somebody was playing OPP in the parking lot afterwards.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I didn't see no black people all night. So a white person, just they blackness welled up inside of them at the greatness that was Black Panther, and they was like, we got to find something black. Play that OPP.
So what
yeah.
what was the audience? Seeing it with the white audience, what was the reaction like? What was did you notice anything different? Any uncomfortable moments? Anything like that? Or how do you think they took it in?
I didn't notice anything different, man. I think they the parts that I laughed at, they laughed at, you know, and I didn't see anything strange. Nobody was saying anything weird. You know, it was a cool movie experience. You know, similar to watching movies with black people with white folks, without the awkwardness of a slave movie. Because afterwards they be looking at you like, should I apologize?
All right, now,
But,
but now for the true test, what did the wife think?
Oh, wife loved it.
Really?
Wife loved it. My 17-year-old saw it at 1:00 with her friends. She loved it and came home and told me it was the best movie of all time. And when she said that, I started getting skeptical. I was like, oh no, if she like it, I don't know what's about to happen now. But it was good, man, and it really ultimately it proves that when we are placed as black people on an even playing field, and we get the resources and the finances, and we able to perform and create and do the things that we do, man, we can make something special. And that's kind of what happened with the movie, I think.
Yeah, for our listeners, just remember, this is Ryan's first Ryan Coogler movie that he's actually watched, and we've been trying to. Me and Nish have been trying to get him
started
to
to watch
Ryan.
Fruitvale. I started to watch that, and I liked it. I just didn't finish it.
Gotta catch that Creed too, man. It's pretty solid. You know how it's gonna go. It's a Rocky movie, but
I don't like Rocky though. That's why I was just like, I don't like Rocky, and I don't like boxing, so I just kind of stayed away from it.
Gotta try it, man. It's pretty good. I liked it. I know Ish is a boxing fan, a sports fan as well, so I know he liked it as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, I'll think about it. They still on my list. I haven't gotten rid of them yet. They just sitting there. But all right, enough of that happiness. Let's move on to some real world topics. How is the white man gonna throw shade on the black man today? So last week we found an article on the Daily Beast that read that watermelon water and Kool-Aid was served at a Black History Month affair at was it N.Y.U? At
N.Y.U. Yep.
Yeah. So what's up with that?
Oh yeah, I'm the one that sent the story around, so this kind of popped up. So I guess there was a Black History Month celebration in the cafeteria, and we all know how the school cafeterias are. There's probably multiple different stations there and things like that, but I guess they had one section that had a Black History Month theme. So their menu included barbecue ribs, cornbread, collard greens, Kool-Aid, and watermelon flavored water. And so that was the menu or what they were offering in this, I guess, particular section of the cafeteria. A black student came in, saw the menu, inquired about it, and was told that, oh, this is for Black History Month or whatever like that. And so she didn't think that was sufficient, so she went back and got another friend of hers to come back with her and kind of look at it, and they were both like, no, this is too much, this is too upsetting, and so they made a big fuss about it, I guess online. And within 24 hours, I guess the president of the university had posted an apology, and I guess some of the people at the staff of the cafeteria, who I guess were probably employees of Aramark, which is a very large global food service provider, I guess they got fired because of this unfortunate menu offering. So that's kind of the synopsis of the story.
Did they get fired because the collard greens weren't good? Or did they get fired just for pulling that out?
That's totally unclear. I mean, all they said was, it's insensitive and inexcusable and things like that. My thing is, to be honest, it sounds delicious. That was my first reaction. Other than the drinks, the Kool-Aid and the watermelon flavored water, that's a little too much. But everything else sounds delicious. I would definitely come check that out because I'm into all those things.
It's nothing whiter than watermelon infused water.
You know me, I got conspiracy theories on all these things, so I was kind of had to read between the lines. We can talk about that later, but Ish, what you think about it?
I felt like it was, I mean, we go through this pretty often through the year. You got times where stuff like this crops up, and it's basically just mad white people, trying to get one over. I don't know if the person who was fired, if that was a college student, like that really seems like something that a frat boy would do. Like, I think this is funny. Let me do this, write it up as the Black History Month menu, and we think that's cute. We think that's funny. To me, it shows, just the difference of having or not having diversity or not having representation in place. So Airmark, when I read the story, it said that, like you said, they fired him immediately. They said that this person did not follow the protocols for specialized menus. They're supposed to go, up the corporate ladder, I guess, to get approved. And these people made their own little decision right there at N.Y.U. But if you have a black person or a minority person in any type of managerial position, if any black person had seen that beforehand that worked for Airmark, they're going to shut that down real quick, because that's ridiculous. So that just shows the power of representation. Ryan was just talking about Black Panther, and a big part of Black Panther, like when I left out, I just had this warm feeling, which we talked about, because I seen a lot of people look like me. It was positive. It was just, I just saw myself in that movie, basically. So I think what's happened here probably at N.Y.U. is whoever were making these decisions, it wasn't no black eyes that saw that. It wasn't no black folks that looked at that and said, oh, this is cool, because let me tell you, if I was in college and let's say I worked for the food service for the dorm one year, and if my manager came up to me and showed me that, I'm probably punching him right in his eye, just off tops.
What?
Just, all right, we got black eyed peas and you got a black eye. Like, that's what's happening. So I'm sure no black person saw it, but I don't know. What do you think, Ryan? I just thought it was foolishness in short. So what about you, Ryan?
Allow me to whiten up my voice as much as possible while I play white man's advocate. So, in this situation, wouldn't it be, isn't it the responsibility of the people preparing the food to make food that those who are attending would like? We all know that black people like cornbread and collard greens and those types of food. Who doesn't like ribs? I know for a fact even white people like ribs.
Facts.
So why is it that this is then considered racist and not a bad attempt at trying to, I guess, please the customer?
Yeah, that's what I think too, as well, Ryan. I think it's more just misguided and just maybe. I'm gonna give the benefit of the doubt and just say it was bad timing. The thing I'm confused about is, like, I mean, we all know how campus cafeterias are. There's different stations. There's more than one drink. I mean, hell, I went to like a little janky Chinese restaurant for lunch at the mall the other day, and I mean, they had like numerous different drinks. I just can't imagine that they only serve. Was there only Kool-Aid there, or just Kool-Aid was one of the different options that you could have among 12 other drinks? It's really the drinks that are the issue with the story. The watermelon water and the Kool-Aid. Everything else, like, that's what I would expect. Like,
I don't know about collard greens in New York, bro.
I don't know much about that, but when you think of like traditional like soul food, you would think of that. Like, all I can tell you is that at my university, I've been like involved with we have a Hispanic Student Association. I helped start it, and I have continued to help lead it. We have like an alumni chapter, and so we put on events throughout the year for students at on school for that. And we have things off campus, on campus, and we always have a menu, and there's always food. Dog, do you know that if there is not tacos on that menu or tapas or anything Hispanic related food, people are gonna be pissed and be like, "Where the hell am I at?" So when we have like ethnic events on campus, we always have for Hispanic related events, we always have some kind of Hispanic related food, and it's never like really a question about it. Now, yeah, well, I think it's the issue with the watermelon water and the Kool-Aid, where I think that's like the big like headline talking points. But the rest of the menu, to me, it seems fine. The bigger question, like you're talking about, Ryan, is any of the food actually good? And that I think is highly doubtful.
Because how many times have we attended an event and they had that watered down lemonade and you was like, dang, can we get some Kool-Aid up in here? If we had some Kool-Aid, it'd be cool.
Exactly.
I think their only sin was that they didn't have an old black lady cooking this stuff.
Exactly.
And it wasn't good, or nobody would have complained.
And more than likely, it was an N.Y.U, so it was a Puerto Rican person cooking the food. It could have been fire. We don't know. But
I don't know. Can y'all make it? Oh, okay, maybe you can.
I'm pretty sure we can make some barbecue ribs. Yeah, we're good there, dog.
Oh yeah.
The collard greens might take a little practice, but everything else we can handle.
Gotcha.
Well, for me, I think the big issue was just billing it as Black History Month. Like, I don't have a problem with any of the foods that were presented. If you want that to be your menu of the day, let that be the menu of the day. But to sit up here and say, hey, we doing this for Black History Month and we're going to give you some, whatever, fried chicken and watermelon. And, nah, man, I'm not with that. That's not honoring my Black History Month. I mean, if you really want to do it and you want to get some jollof rice or you want to really dig down and do it, that's fine. But to me, it just seemed like a lazy attempt. Now, I looked up another article on it on the New York Times, and the head cook is claiming that the employees who plan the menu are black. So if that's true, then I think those are some misguided black folks. I don't know if that's verified or not, but maybe they thought that was cool or whatever. But I think it just reduces what Black History Month is. Yeah. You don't really want to make it that stereotypical. If it's Hispanic History Month or Hispanic Heritage Month, whatever they call it, I'm like, hey, tacos for Hispanic Heritage Month, haha. Like that's just stupid, and it doesn't. You can still have Hispanic food there, but just all that stuff was just, I don't know, it was too stereotypical for me.
I don't know, man. I think it's a thin line. I think it's one of those situations where you could be throwing shade with that menu. But if you're not, it's just something that's going to be taken the wrong way. And unfortunately, I think that Aramark person got fired over it. And, that's messed up. Yeah,
and some of the stuff is just optics. And I'll be brief on this because we didn't talk about this. But I know there was another situation where there was a guy, I think he was a politician, and he got in some hot water because he was doing this presentation is actually a black dude, and he's drinking chocolate milk. Like, he has some milk, and he got the milk, and then they had some Hershey's chocolate mix, and they put the mix in there and stirred it up, and they said diversity. Held the cup up the glass, say diversity, and it's just like it's just stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just a bad look for a white dude to hold up some chocolate milk like, hey, I believe in diversity. Like, what are you doing? Even though the guy who planned it, like I said, he was black, and he does this. He goes around and does diversity training, and that's one of his exercises. But, like, you just got to step back and think about it. Maybe that works for a meeting. Paul, maybe if that's in your office and you got 10, 12 people doing that, maybe that's okay. But when you coming out in front of the cameras and coming out in front of, you're supposed to be representing a city or a state or whatever. Yeah. That's just not a good look.
Yeah, it's definitely a shaking your head moment.
And definitely avoid, for future reference, avoid all the water. Anything watermelon or Kool-Aid related, avoid those things. I think you won't make a headline. So that's the big takeaway for me. Avoid Kool-Aid and watermelon. Anything watermelon related, do not have that in anything related to Black history, and you'll be good to go.
I mean, you can bring it, just don't put it on the menu. Don't publicize it, but you can bring it because I'm gonna drink it.
But
you know who twisted.
You know who won't drink that Kool-Aid? Monique. She ain't playing that. Don't you discriminate on her at all because she gonna clap back quickly. She was on the Breakfast Club with Charlamagne.
Skinny Monique, that's right.
Yeah, skinny Monique. She did, man. She looked good.
She did look good.
I didn't know she lost so much weight, but Yeah, so she showed up on the Breakfast Club. Did y'all get a chance to check out that YouTube link that I sent?
Listen to every minute of it, dog. Every minute.
Every minute. What about you, Ish?
Yep. I checked it out.
Okay. Where we want to start? Let's go with you, Ish. Go ahead. What you think about it?
I thought it was interesting. You know, we talked about Monique and this whole Netflix boycott a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of things I said then still stand true. But I think she has made some good points. And here's what I think it boils down to for me. Like, I think the whole thing started was just really self-centered. She was mad because she didn't get the money, and now she's trying to, I like Charlamagne used a term, she's trying to weaponize race and gender. And I really think she's trying to exploit those things for her own gain. However, I do feel there is some merit behind, you know, this thing that she started. So when she first came out, she didn't know what Wanda Sykes made. That came out later. But I think the thing that it really boils down to is that there are issues of race and gender in the comedy world, because one thing Charlamagne kept asking her, he's like, well, why do you deserve this money? Why do you deserve this money? He said, why don't you go on tour like Amy Schumer went on tour, Dave Chappelle went on tour, like Dave Chappelle went on tour, Chris Rock went on tour. He said, all of them are going out proving that they got these big followings. Why don't you do that? And, you know, she responded that the promoters really aren't promoting black women like that. So I think that's really the core of the issue. I don't think the issue is with Netflix, because with Netflix, again, she's just not hot like that. Now, maybe she could have got more than 500,000. Maybe, you know, the way they came at her with the take it or leave it, you know, maybe they should have played that differently. I can understand her being upset with that. But I think the big issue at hand is she feels like she doesn't have that opportunity to go prove herself like black male comedians or white male comedians or white women comedians even. So she feels like she doesn't have that promotional opportunity. But that's not Netflix's problem. Netflix is just looking at how many viewers are you going to bring to the table.
Exactly.
So that's what I pulled from it that's new from what we talked about last week. So I don't know if you guys pull something different.
I pretty much agree with you. I do wonder what the staffing is like at Netflix, because I was talking to my wife and we both listened to that link at the same time. And basically I was thinking that, you know, if I were to have to offer Amy Schumer some money to do a Netflix special and I worked at Netflix, I would offer her $500,000 because I don't think she's funny. And I don't know anything about her really other than, you know, my own personal opinion. So I wonder if, you know, if you got a boardroom full of white guys and white women, they probably not checking for Monique, you know? So do they know who's funny outside of mainstream comedians?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you guys. I mean, I think the problem with Netflix is that, I mean, we know inherently just, you know, the whole race thing and the whole gender thing, I'm going to stay out of that. I think I'm just looking at it from like a business perspective. I mean, let's just face facts in Netflix.
Yeah, give us the business angle.
The business angle.
You're the financial.
Yeah, the business angle is, I mean, for better or for worse, Netflix, let's just be honest about their demographic. It's mostly younger. It's probably it's definitely more white, and it's definitely probably more male. So you got younger white males that are probably the core demographic of Netflix right now. Maybe they're trying to branch out into different, you know, areas. I'm sure they may be trying. But, you know, that's the core audience. You know, is that core audience really checking for Monique? They're definitely checking for Dave Chappelle. They're definitely checking for Chris Rock. They're definitely checking for Tiffany Haddish. But are they checking for Monique? You kind of argue, no, they're probably not. So, you know, it's like, you know, why are they going to offer her a lot of money when she's not going to pull in a lot of people? Their core audience is probably not going to check the special out that much. And, you know, how many new subscribers is she alone going to bring to Netflix? Probably, let's just be honest, not that many. My whole issue with her is, why not just why all this, you know, this interview? If you haven't seen it, check it out online. It's really great. I'm sure Ryan will put it in the show notes. But it's a really interesting interview, and it's really contentious. First of all, any couple, because the husband and the husband's not in studio, but he's on the phone line, and Monique's in studio. any couple that refers to each other in public as my love and daddy, those people are serial killers. That is weird.
I love it.
Serial killer.
I am currently in negotiation with my wife for her to start calling me daddy in public. I'm working on it.
No, you do not. Man, that is so weird to me. Somebody that calls their husband daddy all the time. Like my wife calls me like daddy when we're talking to our kid, like go to daddy, things like that. but dude, I don't want to be called daddy.
That ain't sexy, bro.
And I do not want to call my love. I don't want to be called my love and loves and all this. No, to me that's weird. So so from that point, I didn't get down with it. But the interview is really contentious. I mean, she's just not letting go, and it's like why keep this fight going? Like, it's not like Netflix is going to offer you more money or have you on when you've just been blasting them for the last month and a half and going at, just trying to go at their throat like this. Like, so, I mean, what is the end game here?
So really her reason for going on Charlamagne was not really to talk about this again. It was because he put her in as the donkey of the day. And I totally agree with her argument there. Now, I really don't mess with the Breakfast Club that often. I do sometimes. It's kind of shock jock radio to me at this point. They kind of just say stuff just to get ratings. But when they really sit down and they want to get serious about something, I think it's a good show. And for him to label her as donkey of the day with all the stuff going on in this country, for her saying that she wanted equal pay for equal work, that's ridiculous. And he should be taking the task on that, because she's not a donkey because she did that. She's not a donkey because of how she did it either. I mean, she can handle it however she wanted to handle it. Otherwise, how would we know if you didn't make it public? Yeah. I don't agree with the tactic, and I wouldn't personally do it. But at the same time, if you want to handle it that way, you can. But it's worse people probably to get.
So what did you think about the last minute? I'm sorry, Ish, but what did you think about the last minute when she just kind of really drags Charlamagne at the very end and kind of calls him like a slave selling out other slaves and stuff like that. That was just wild to me.
That was crazy, because I was like, man, she basically was like, you a coon or you a Uncle Tom.
Exactly. Because
you brought that up with her and the situation. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. That whole idea is ridiculous to me. And the thing is that you're a comedian, Monique. So how many people have you cracked on? How many people have you went after in a joking manner or whatever? So she just seems like she's too thin-skinned for me to be like, comedians usually can take, like, they don't care if you call them donkey of the day. That's probably the nicest thing they've been called all day, because they're comedians. Like, you joke about comedians. And a thing that was interesting to me is that, they were talking about just different beefs. Like Charlamagne brought it up, Angela Yee brought it up, just talking about different beefs that she's had in the industry or whatever, and just talking to them. Now, in her credit, she explained a lot of them. She said that she doesn't really
she didn't explain all, but she didn't explain a lot of them to me. I thought she deflected. Yeah, she deflected on a lot of them. She was like, "Bring that person to me. I'm not gonna say until they're right in front of me, and then I'll talk to that person." Like, okay, well, if these people are saying they're hearing from first-hand accounts.
She said to tell her names. Like, don't just say an anonymous source said. And I totally get that.
But then when the girl said the name,
she explained the specific situation of what happened, and I thought she defended her position well on those.
But here's my point with that. So she did, like, some of them she explained well, some of them she deflected. I agree with both points on there. But like, when it got to the end of the interview, I'm sitting there and I'm like, she just talked about like 13 or 14 different beefs.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of beef to have. Yeah. Like, you are the common denominator in all of those. I don't think I had 13 beefs in the last 20, 30 years.
Right. Exactly. And then you're just causing a whole new beef, and you're just dragging all these Netflix executives' names out there and saying this and that and accusing them of this and that. It's just like, okay, I mean, yeah, at some point, why would these people want to deal with you, And it's crazy.
And the last thing I'll say about this is, so I did today, after I watched that, I was like, let me go back, let me find something of Monique, because I haven't watched a Monique comedy special in a while. So I went on YouTube, I found a little excerpt of her. It was from at least it was posted 3 years ago or so. And she was talking about Tiger Woods and his situation with, when he was still married and crashing and had all the white women and yada yada. And it was kind of stereotypical, but it was funny. It actually made me laugh. So I'm like, okay, Monique she's still got a little humor, but she's talking about, you know, why rich black men go to white women, and we know what the stereotype is on that. So I won't call that out here. But one thing that she said that was interesting, and this is a comedy routine, but she said, you know, black women, you know, don't do this what white women do so great. And she said, if you want to know what white women do so great, go and ask them. Like, get their advice, find out what they do, how they do it, you know, and learn. So I'm wondering, when this situation popped off, did you go to Amy Schumer and say, hey, Amy Schumer, how did you get this $13 million deal? Like, how did you negotiate that? Did you go to Dave Chappelle and say, yo, Dave, you know, I know you're a black man. How'd you get this money? She didn't do that. She got mad when she got it and just instantly popped off.
And I'm not going to defend Amy Schumer. I mean, but I will say, like, I used to watch her show that she had on Comedy Central, and that's how she kind of, you know, became a household name. And it was legitimately funny. It only ran for like 2 seasons, but I would watch it. It was definitely legitimately funny. Now, I'm not saying it was all her writing that was, you know, making it funny. There was good premises and things like that. But it was a good show. And she had the Trainwreck movie, which I thought it was really funny. It was 30 minutes too long. The end went way too long. But that's more of a Judd Apatow issue. But that movie is, if you haven't seen Trainwreck, it's got LeBron in there, he's great in there. It's got
I didn't see that yet.
You got to check. It's actually worth it just to see John Cena's parts and see LeBron's parts. It's really funny. The last 30 minutes, it goes on forever, and it's like, why isn't this movie ending? But it's a really good movie. It's a comedy, and it's fun. It's funny. It just goes on 30 minutes too long. But the rest of the movie the first hour is good, really good. So I mean,
Amy Schumer is whack, but Amy Schumer does numbers.
She does know, and now it is what it is. Just based on her show, which at Comedy Central, that's how she got started off. But you know, Comedy Central ain't paying these folks a whole lot of money. That's why they all go on to bigger and better things. You know, Comedy Central isn't trying to pay them folks a lot of money. But Amy Schumer got her name. And now, do I think the rest of her stand-ups since then have been as good? I've seen a couple of them, and no, they're not as good. In her movies, I haven't watched them, but yeah, they sound like they really stink. But she's got a loyal fan base, and she's been willing to make that product. You know, she's been out there. Okay, she's not just a stand-up comedian. She's also making shows. She's making movies. So she's kind of like a little enterprise. And Monique doesn't really have that. So like, how can you compare the two to each other? Do I think Monique is a funnier comedian? Yes, I think Monique is really good in other people's movies, but she just hasn't really carried a movie yet. I mean, I was trying to think back when I was listening to the story this morning on YouTube. You know, what have I liked her in? I mean, I definitely checked out the Queens of Comedy or whatever it was, because it was filmed in Memphis. I think when Ryan and I were in college there, they filmed it there, and so I caught it on videotape a couple years later, and she was funny in that, as I recall. I think her and Samore were the two best people on there. Good. Yeah, it was good, but it wasn't like, oh, I gotta go definitely go check this lady out after that. But she's been in other movies. I mean, definitely in Precious, which was a turn for her, and that was, that was she did really good in that. But obviously there were some issues with the director and many other casts, and so maybe that's some problems there. She's good in that Roscoe Jenkins movie. She has a small part in there. I thought that was really funny, but she just got a couple of little small parts in there. But everything that she's mostly been in has just been like bit parts, which she's really good in. But she's basically playing like the same. Other than Precious, she's pretty much playing the same person. But I think she really did get. She really got blackballed from the industry in general, and then now she's kind of made a bad reputation for herself as far as clapping back at everybody publicly, and so nobody's gonna mess with her. Right, and I think she's right, but I also think that's the reason. But while on the topic of comedians, there's one dude I do want to see a new Netflix special, and you guys don't know who I'm talking about, Lavelle Crawford. That dude is hilarious. He's got that special on Netflix.
St. Louis.
And my wife, we actually sat down and watched that again, because we tried to watch the Cat Williams one a few weeks ago, and it wasn't so good, and so we turned off the Cat Williams like maybe 30, 40 minutes in, and so let's just try something else. And we saw the Lavelle Crawford on there, and it was, it's the same old one he's had probably for 8, 9 years out there. We put that back in. Man, it's still funny. That dude is hilarious. I don't know why that dude doesn't get a Netflix special. That dude, and that's some serious underrated STL talent that we need to see out there, because that dude is hilarious. I love that guy.
I actually peeked the Chris Rock's last night.
Yeah, I started the first. I watched the first 5 minutes. I have not gotten to the rest of it, but I will. Okay. I can review that for next week.
We'll save it.
Yeah, I watched it.
Time. Oh, okay. What'd you think of it?
I thought it was pretty good. It wasn't the best one he's ever done, but I laughed. I enjoyed it. I like his style of comedy. So, I thought it was good.
I heard a couple of the podcasts were saying that they didn't laugh, and I'm like, well, I was laughing. I don't know. I think Chris Rock just has my sensibilities, so I've always been a fan. Like that's totally the stuff that I be thinking. So it hits everything for me.
Yeah, my wife can't stand his voice, but I think he's yeah. I think Chappelle's probably funnier for sure, but I think Chris Rock has he just is just like a thinking man's comedian. I like his stuff, so I'm sure I'm gonna like it. I just need to catch it this week, but maybe we can do that as a review topic next week.
Okay.
Yeah, one more comedy thing to put on your list if you haven't seen it, and I'm hoping it's still on Netflix. This is where I saw it. It was a couple years ago, but it's called Elephant in the Room by Patrice O'Neal.
Oh yeah.
And,
classic.
You seen that, Paul?
Classic.
Yeah, that's a classic one, man. So, he passed away. Unfortunately, that's when I discovered him when he dropped that. But that's one of the best stand-up comedy routines that I've seen.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's a classic one. And there's some good parts. We can talk about it another time, but there's some really good parts in there.
I don't know if I saw that one, but I don't know what it is about him. I wasn't feeling it. As I know, you've been pumping him up for a long time, and I was always be like, "Let me check him out. Let me check him out." And I just never really liked it.
He definitely was underrated, and I think if he had stayed alive a little bit longer, I mean, he was still kind of coming up. And I think I can't remember exactly how it went down, but I think Elephant in the Room either came out like right before he died, maybe like a year before he died, or maybe just right after he died. So he really didn't get the acclaim that he deserved. But if you watch that whole thing all the way through, and it starts off strong. I mean, he comes out on stage and he's interacting with the crowd. It's really good, and he's hilarious. And and then he had little bit parts. He did a lot of guest spots on radio, in New York and things like that. So he's got some funny stuff out there. If you kind of search around on YouTube, you just got to kind of find it. But his specials, if there's any definitive special on him, it's that Elephant in the Room. And it's worth a check out. For sure.
Hey, if he was still alive, we could get him on the podcast for our resident conspiracy theory brother.
Oh, for real?
He loved the conspiracy theories too.
Oh, my kind of dude. I'm gonna check out Elephant in the Room. No, I'm gonna try to watch it again. Maybe I just wasn't in the mood.
It's probably out there somewhere on Netflix, something. But it's good, man. It's really good, and it holds up. There ain't nothing stale in there.
All right. Let's switch topics. We've been on this for a little while longer than I expected, but good talk. So. Can one of y'all tell me what the heck crisis actors are? No. And why was this in the news all last week?
Paul, you go ahead.
Sure. I mean, look, I'm with you, Ryan. I never heard of a crisis actor until recently. I think this is just some kind of new media phenomenon. This whole crisis actor acting thing. Basically, just to give a synopsis of how it all came up. Unfortunately there was a mass shooting down in Florida. Last week, and 17 kids were killed by another former student who had a bunch of guns.
Prayers to them and their families.
Yeah, had a bunch of had a kind of sound like he had a messed up childhood. I guess adopted or something like that, and then the adopted parents died anyway, and there was probably some other issues.
Cop out.
Shot up anyway. So then after the story came out, a lot of these students that were survivors of the school shooting came out strongly in ways we never seen before against for stronger gun rights, stronger gun restrictions, things like that. Or did they? And so then to counteract that, there were these I'm not even sure who is saying this, if they're really Americans or these are like Russian bots that are saying it, but apparently a lot of these conspiracy theorists out there, and Ryan, you're deep into the conspiracies, are calling these people crisis actors, or basically people that go from place to place when tragedies unfold and pretend to be victims of something, and so that they can perpetuate their own agenda. So if the school shooting, these people are allegedly plants from the Democrats or some other country or who knows, and they were at the school. Maybe even the school shooting itself was staged, and these people are all doing all these protests and leading these social media movements to further their own political agenda. So that's in a nutshell what crisis actors are. What do you think about it all, Ish?
You know what? I think that, and there's a possibility that there's some heinous, organization that uses crisis actors from time to time. But I think largely it is a way for people to ignore the realities of what's going on. Like in this situation, it was a school shooting, and so people who don't want to lose their guns are coming out saying, no, this isn't real. This is a crisis actor. It's not real. And that's their way of kind of wiping their conscience clear because, you know, God forbid that the guns were an actual problem in here. Like, no, that's just these crazy leftists making up stories.
Yeah.
You know, and Ryan, you know, a guy that we went to school with, was sending out this crazy stuff, and this is a black guy, you know, saying, no, this is a you know, this is a conspiracy theory. These are crisis actors, yada yada. And so, you know, this particular day, usually I ignore them. I don't even pay attention.
Right, man. Yeah, I saw you going in with them back and forth, yeah. And I was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, set it up for us, Ish. Set this up for us. This is a good story.
Well, the thing is so he was talking about the shooting, and he says, you know, it's a crisis actor, you know, and everybody's going after this David Hogg because he's been getting a lot of news attention. He's coming out really against guns, and if you think
wait a minute. So the post actually said it was a meme, or was it a meme? I thought it was a meme, and it said like you know, 17 people dead, and I haven't seen a video of not one funeral.
Right.
That was really the original post. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So that was the original post, and that's basically him saying, if I don't see 17 funerals, I'm not gonna believe it. So before I even responded, there were a couple other people who had posted links to news footage of some of the funerals, like 2 or 3 of the funerals. People had already posted news links about it, and he's saying, well, yeah, that's 2 or 3, but you know, I need to see all 17.
Where the other 14?
And it's like, first of all, who wants to see 17 funerals of
kids,
slain children?
Kids, yeah.
Right.
You know, and who needs that much
First
evidence?
Of all, who's going to be videotaping them? How about that?
Right,
I don't want to videotape a funeral. I know people do it, but 17 people ain't going to do it.
Yeah, and so that particular day, I'm just like, okay, I got a little time today. Usually I'm ignore it today. We're going to play conspiracy theory debunker. And my whole goal was, I said, everything that he posts that's just stupid and foolish and ridiculous, obviously ridiculous, I'm going to go find the real answer and I'm going to post it. And so for this entire day, I mean, he would post these things, and a lot of these things come from far right-wing stuff. And so that's how it got to that David Hogg. There was a post that said, okay, you know, David Hogg, they had a picture of him on the news on a beach, and it said David Hogg was a witness to a shooting in L.A., and David Hogg is now going to this school, and he's a witness to this shooting. He's a crisis actor. So I got on my Google machine.
I don't even think it was that much. It wasn't even a shooting out there. It was just something like that happened on the beach, something very minor that happened on the beach, and I guess it was,
exactly.
Yeah, crazy.
But what it was is they tried to present it because
gotcha.
he was on the news. They tried to present it that, oh, this was another shooting. This guy's a crisis actor. I used my Google machine just like you did. I went and found out, oh, it's something on the beach. I found a clip on YouTube of him doing this interview on the beach. Somebody stole a boogie board or something. And so I posted that link. I said, no, that wasn't a shooting in L.A. It was somebody arguing about a boogie board. Well, I don't care what you say. It's still so. Then he posted something else about him, and I don't remember what the other one was, but same type of situation. He posted it, I Googled it, found out the real information, posted it. So this went back probably 7 or 8 times throughout the day.
It was a lot of messages. For the first time, I didn't turn my notifications off. I was just like, what is Ishmael doing?
And what happened, and he even, like, this was all on Facebook where this was happening, and he sent me like a private message on Instagram, you know, with something else, and was like, well, what about this? And so I debunked that message too. And so finally I went to bed that night, and the next morning when I woke up, I saw he posted a message, and it said, I don't care how many posts that you make, you know, I know that this is true. And at that point I'm like, gotcha. Gotcha, because now what you're telling me is you don't care about the facts.
Yep.
Like, you believe what you believe, and it doesn't matter how many, and everything that I posted was credible. I made sure that this is going to be from a credible site. It's not going to be from
you just
right-wing news, or it's not going to be from whatever, you know, mynewstoyou.com. No, I'm posting stuff from CNN or I'm posting stuff from the New York Times.
Yeah, but they can always they're just gonna move the goalposts. All those are slanted.
Oh,
yeah. Nothing you
it's
can do.
it's fake news.
Yeah.
Fake news. And so I felt like that's what I was there for. I wanted to make so much stuff that you either have to admit that you're wrong or you have to say, I don't care what you say, I know what I know.
Man, y'all were going back and forth. It reminded me of that scene in Man of Steel with Superman and Zod at the end of the movie. They were just haymaker after haymaker. They were flying through buildings, stuff was crashing, people were sitting, everybody was watching though, and it was just like Ishmael had his head in his arms and he had him in the headlock and he just wouldn't back down and he said, no matter what, I'm gonna show you.
Okay, so
Ishmael just had to. Eventually, the only way to stop a brother like that is to kill him, man.
Of course, I'm not on Facebook, so I wasn't following it. But like, so was the homie that we talked about from high school, y'all's high school last week? Did he get in on this thread? But no, I'm not saying. But did he jump in the comments and did he offer up any crazy?
He don't get on stuff like that.
He don't get on.
Even he got more sense to get into the conspiracy theory stuff.
Yeah, he stay away from that.
Ryan, but hold on before we go off. Ryan, I mean, so like you're the conspiracy expert on this pod. Like, like I said, I've never heard of Christ actors until like the last few months, and stuff like that. And this kind of this alt-right type stuff. I mean, okay, I understand what they are. Is there ever been any recorded instance of in America where a crisis actor has actually occurred, or even in the world? I mean, is this a real thing? Like, does this actually happen? Like, for political gains? I'm not talking about, some fake social media drama or something, some Kardashian type stuff. I'm talking about like real.
Honestly, I don't know. My conspiracy brother ranking rating on this particular topic is a 1 out of 10. Like, there is absolutely nothing there. There's nothing to say that there's a such thing as a crisis actor, period. It's definitely not in this story. You don't have the entire country looking at this town and some kind of way you found all these people to be able to lie. Because if it didn't happen, then school was out that day, and somebody would have said, no, nothing happened here today. It's that simple. It's the dumbest conspiracy of all time. Now, I love a good conspiracy, just the plausibility of that conspiracy, not necessarily that I believe it. And frankly, the fact that he even posted that, man, I didn't even have an emoji that I could put up, that would really reflect how I felt about seeing that on his post. Now, that's what happens when staying woke goes wrong. And
right.
You need
and the thing is I saw something on New York Times where they're talking about back in, was it like 1957, when the girls were going into Little Rock school, where it was being integrated, and people were saying, oh no, they're being paid, they're paid activists, and so people always, when you're trying to stand up for change for something, back then it was for integration, today it's for gun reform. The people who are against it are always going to try to say, nah, that's not true. And I think, like I said before, it's just about making their conscience feel better. Like, nah, that's not really happening. I don't have to give up my gun. Them kids really didn't get killed. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, it's just a way of being dismissive. Just dismiss the whole argument without even trying to consider anything at all. Just say they have no merit at all because this is all fake. But
I mean, in all reality, man, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of when anything happens, people are saying, oh, that's not true, and that's just a way to get around it. Like, why do you think that is false? How about that? How do you not have to prove anything as to why your conspiracy is true, that everybody's lying, but I have to show you video footage and all this other stuff to tell you that it actually happened, despite the fact that every news source in America is reporting it?
Exactly.
That's just laziness.
Fake news.
Fake news. Yeah, that's the world we live in these days, unfortunately.
Yeah, so, I mean, outside of that, so let's go from fake news to some real news.
Yeah.
As y'all know, the movie Get Out was critically acclaimed and black folk acclaimed. And a lot of people loved it. And with it being nominated for Oscars or whatever award it was nominated for, we have had an influx of white folks checking it out. So, with people seeing it, I've been wondering, what would they think about it? And a lot of the podcasts I listen to are there's always like it was okay, or it was pretty good. Like it's never like, oh, I understood it, it made sense. It's always it was pretty good. But the underlying theme that I keep hearing them say, and this is the white people on podcasts, is that they have friends that think it's racist. And I found that very interesting. And I don't know if you guys have been listening to anything or heard anybody say anything about it. I know when the movie first came out, a lot of white people were telling me that they hadn't seen it before. So I was just curious what you guys' thoughts were as far as the white people's reactions to watching Get Out. Have you heard anything or what? I guess let's start with you, Ishmael, because I know Paul watched this, but I want to get his feelings last.
Yeah, I watched it again today because I knew we were going to talk about it, and just on that note, I thought it was a great movie. Saying it the second time, the first time I thought it was weird because it's not really in a defined genre. No. They kind of marketed it as a horror movie, but it's not really horror. I mean, it is if you're black, but it's just like a weird intersection of movie genres.
It's a social thriller, man. That's what I think.
Right? Yeah, that's what it was, and so. First time I was like, I like it, but I don't know why. And so seeing it again, knowing everything, thought it was an excellent movie. But personally, I really hadn't heard of too many white reactions about it. I read the piece that you sent us about
that was an extreme, very extreme
and it was extreme. Now, the thing about that is that dude is a dope writer. I'm going to say that. Like, his style was really, really cool. But, yeah, he's an alt-right guy. And it basically was saying that this is the most racist movie in the world because, all the white people are evil in the movie. And, the black dude in the movie basically has to kill everybody. And there's no redeeming qualities about the white people. And I'm like, how many movies have been like that with black people? Where there's only one black person, or all the black people are thugs or gangsters, and they all, smoke dope or sell rocks or whatever. So it's just like, it's interesting that certain people, and I'm not going to put this on all white people because it's not. No. But the certain segment that we talked about last week, with the white victimhood, I mean, it's like any time that you're promoting somebody or there's a positive aspect about anybody who's not white, then they feel like it's the most racist thing in the world, but you're ignoring the entire history of Hollywood, basically. So I don't know, what do you feel about that, Ryan?
Paul, I guess, because I already talked about
it. Sure. I mean, I hear exactly what you're saying, Ish. I mean, it's like, hey man, why can't you just, brown people, black people have been in movies and cinema and TV. They don't get nuanced roles for too long. Often they're one-dimensional characters, and if it's a crime movie or something like that where they're the bad guy, there is no layers to it. It's just, hey, this person is evil. This person gets shot, what have you. That's how it's gone for forever. So it's like, hey, this movie, from my perspective, is like, hey, it's just a refreshing change. I think that's why it garnered so much attention, social media, and obviously it's a good movie to boot. But I think that's why, it's kind of changed because, hey, it kind of flipped this around and said, hey, okay, we're going to give some depth to these characters, and then, the bad people, we're just going to make them pure evil, and we're not really going to give you a whole lot of background on why they're evil or, what caused them to be this way. It just is. And they just rock with that. And, I think that's what made the movie, in a way, cool. I personally caught the movie for the first time this week based on Ryan wanting to bring it up in the podcast. So, to get in my white mode to watch this, I got my STL Cardinals jacket out. I didn't have any Crocs like Ryan likes to wear around the house, but I got some boat shoes with no socks.
Hold on. Before you even go any further, man.
Boat shoes are the new Crocs, man.
Millions of white people can't be wrong about Crocs, bro. There was a time you couldn't go to the mall without seeing hundreds of pairs of Crocs. I decided I was going to check them out. I saw some for $10 on Amazon. I got them. Best house shoes I've ever had in my life. I'm never going back.
Black listeners of this pod, if you are black and actually wear Crocs and your name is not Ryan, please text us, email us, DM us, and let us know. I'm sure Ryan is the only black person that's ever slid a pair of Crocs on in his life.
Black Croc Challenge. I dare y'all to buy a pair of Crocs and wear them and tell me that they ain't the most comfortable shoe. Get the ones with the fur in them, not just the regular rubber kind.
Oh, God. This dude,
Get the ones with the fur. Your feet will be toasty. Your steps will be light. I dare you, just try.
This dude is getting swaggy with the Crocs. No, man, I'm not wearing Crocs ever. They're never.
I got Crocs on right now. I don't record without my Crocs on.
But anyway, I got the boat shoes on. I didn't wear any socks, so I had to complete the look. I had the dad jeans on and the STL Cards jacket, and I sat down to watch Get Out. Now, the funny part about it was my wife is deathly afraid of anything even closely resembling horror movies at all. Like, we've only gone to see one horror movie in our entire time that we've been together, so it's been almost 20 years. Yes, I'm that old, and so
it's been 20 years for real.
Well, since college, wow. So just about 20 years, getting close, like 17, 18, something like that.
Ain't we getting old?
So we've only gone to see one horror movie, and that horror movie was called The Grudge, and that movie was literally PG-13. And I had to talk her in to go see it with me. It was PG-13, and at the time, if you remember The Grudge, like
it was creepy though.
It's definitely creepy. But it is not, what I would say horror, but it is creepy. Oh, man, she closed her eyes like 20 minutes in, and she did not watch. She just sat there for an hour and a half, holding on to her arm. And, so when we got home, after we see The Grudge, if you remember the movie, Ryan, there's a part where the little kids, and they make this kind of, sound, like a cat. So when we got home, I kept doing that, like in the car. Yeah, exactly. That little, I kept doing that in the car, and then when we, it was at the time it was just us, and so I would do that sound like at night around the house, for a couple of days.
That's not funny, man. You started.
She would get pissed, and so I'll still do it every now and every blue moon. I'll bring it back up, but no. So she don't watch no horror movies, so I could not get her to watch this movie with me, but she eventually came out in the kitchen when I was trying to finish it up, and she watched maybe the last 30 minutes with me, which is obviously the crux of the movie, but it doesn't get into a lot of the background type stuff. And yeah, it was cool, man. I really enjoyed it. I don't think it was the greatest movie. Honestly, I don't know if it should be. Don't hate me for this. I don't know if it should be up for an Oscar, but it was a really smart movie, a really good movie. I definitely think it hit on some issues that have never been talked about in film. I liked the performances. I especially liked the lady that played, even though she didn't have a big role, but the lady that played the maid. Man, she was really creepy to me, and I thought she was only in a scene or two, but I thought that scene with the phone and where she's got the tear and she's kind of looking out the window. I mean, I thought that her parts really stole the show for me. The kind of the field hand or whatever you want to call him, I guess the lawn guy. I didn't know he's actually from
St. Louis.
Yeah, I read an article afterwards, just kind of reading up on the movie and doing a little. He's from from where they had the protests at a couple years ago.
Ferguson.
Yeah, he was from Ferguson. He said he was right down he said he lived like a few miles from there or something like that. So I thought it was kind of related back to where you guys are from.
And that was which dude?
The field hand, the maintenance guy out in the yard,
okay.
the guy that talked real old timey.
The dude that was
the grandfather, basically the grandfather, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, the movie was cool, but I mean, there were a couple of little plot holes I wish they would have elaborated on a little bit more, just around, because I was I was really interested in the story, but I wish they would kind of explain why they want to take black people's body. They never really answered that question. I think the blind guy kind of just said they just do. They just kind of.
But they did.
I don't think he really explained why they wanted to.
They did. They wanted to be superior physical specimens, basically.
Oh, they want to be. Oh, okay. Maybe I missed that. Must have missed that part.
He was saying if we could take our brains with your bodies, he was talking about how much they could accomplish, and so that was really what it was about.
Yeah, if you remember, a lot of the white people were, feeling on him and to feel how strong he was. The main character, they were trying to see. I think the blind guy told him. Some people want to be faster, stronger, cooler. But he said, I just want those eyes, because he was an artist who went blind. So,
right.
And the one lady, asked him, the older lady, she came up and she asked him, is it true what they say about black men? And he's like, what? That they're better in bed or whatever. So, all these kind of stereotypical things. Yeah, that we want to be cool, we want to be hip, we want to be strong. The brother who was talking about the MMA and was like, yeah, you got the perfect build with your, muscle or bone structure or whatever. You could be a beast, So there were all these different things that they threw out there. But that's the benefit. Again, I watched it for the second time, and I probably missed a lot of those the first time. But if you go back and watch it again, you'll catch some of those little subtle nuances as they throughout the movie.
Well, I definitely will check it out again because I now am the proud owner of Get Out on streaming. I had to buy it to rent it, so I now own it in perpetuity on Amazon. So it's there forever.
That red box, dog.
But now, let me ask you guys a question. As you know, from a black guy's perspective, if you were the main character in Get Out, at what point in this weekend would you have got the fuck up out of there? When I
think because those things happen to us, and you do have those awkward conversations. I think when he finally was like, "Let's go," that was the time that I would have left. But unfortunately, at that point, it was too late. Now I would have said, "Forget that girl," and I would just left her. But other than that, I think he put up with what he could put up with.
Yeah.
You know, it was his girlfriend's people, so that would kind of diffuse it a little bit. You don't expect to get killed out there. But it wasn't one of those movies where I thought like, oh man, you should have left a long time ago. Nah, he did everything that a normal, reasonable person would have done in that situation, and that's what made the movie good to me.
Maybe it's just me, but I'm shaky. But I would have dipped as soon as the brother started acting kind of weird at the dinner table and was having that weird conversation. I'd be like, man, this is I think it's best if I just roll up out of here. This ain't for me.
Yeah, not for me, I think the definitive line would have been when I went outside and you saw the brother again from St. Louis. I think his name is Marcus. Was it Marcus Wilson or Marcus Washington? But when Grandpa was running full speed and made that turn at the last minute, at that point I'm out.
Yeah,
you gonna leave just because dude was running fast and turned.
Yep.
Nothing
because
happened.
It was already some creepy things that's happening.
Exactly.
But if I see that, I gotta go. I got to go.
And he even when he was uneasy, he had the conversations with his girlfriend, and she would kind of have an excuse for it. It was never something where it was totally over. Yeah, and I would be like, oh, okay, well, I understand that. That makes sense. She said her brother was drunk, so I couldn't leave after the brother was acting a fool. Who hasn't been around a white person acting a fool when they got drunk?
Now, did you guys assume that the girlfriend was evil the whole time, or because I wasn't really sure until I
wasn't sure until she finally said it. Until he was at the last minute was like, "Give me your keys. Where your keys at?"
Well, but what about the picture?
You should have known with the picture.
Yeah, the picture that was like, oh damn. I was like,
but I wasn't sure if she was in on it. I thought she didn't know. And I thought she just was. Now it's been a while since I watched it. I watched it a couple times.
Man, with them pictures, she had 20 black dudes, and I'd be like, "What are you doing, baby girl? What are you doing?"
But yeah, that just happened though, right before he came downstairs, though, right?
Yeah, that was the defining moment.
It just happened.
That just happened.
Yeah, so he didn't have much time. I mean, at that point, you ready to go anyway, and he just where the keys?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that there was a plot hole or anything like that with why he stayed. I understood that. I thought that movie was well crafted. And before I forget, Marcus Henderson is a guy's name.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, for me personally, if I'm in that situation, when I see Walter was the character name, Marcus Henderson. When I see Walter running at me like that, I got to go.
Exactly.
That's my sign. I got to get up out of here. Hey, boo, you can come with me. I'm about to hit this Uber. I'm about to do something. I'm probably not going to walk through the woods. That one long article that we're really not talking about, it said something like, the black people are making it like the wilderness itself is racist, or that Jordan Peele was making it like the wilderness was racist. And I'm like, wilderness is racist. Black people don't mess with the woods.
We don't go to the woods, bro.
No,
right.
No.
We're not going to frolic in the woods. That's not happening. So.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure every black person that's ever gone into the woods by themselves without a white white chauffeur, it is not going well for them.
Not at all.
If you come out at another person's house, you probably get shot and killed by the cops. Paul, we talked about a story about that recently. Yeah, it's never gonna go right for you. I don't know, man. I just thought it was a brilliant movie, just in regards to just things that people said, just around the dinner table, things that people said at the event. Or whatever the next day, man, it was just great because we actually experienced those conversations and that awkwardness, and he just kept trying to get out of the conversations, but people would just bring him back into it and ask even more ridiculous questions.
Yeah, and Shouts to giving the TSA employees some good publicity. Yeah, I thought that his character was good. I like that they made him a TSA agent. I thought it was good that he fought. TSA people get dumped on a lot. They got a tough job. I just want to say, hey, shouts to them for getting a positive image out there in a very popular movie. So I definitely enjoyed those little parts.
That was a great character. That that brought it all the way around to where
because he just felt like a real
drama,
dude,
but they had that comedy.
Yeah, he felt like a real dude
because every dude got a friend like that.
Exactly.
If you was dating a white woman, they would be saying stuff like that.
Ryan, you are my little rail. That's exactly what it is. Ryan is my little rail.
I definitely would have said that if you was dating a white woman.
And that's the thing about that movie is I think a lot of the white people who are offended by it, they just don't get it. A lot of those experiences are just inherently black experiences. So if you're just not familiar with it, you just don't get it. But every black person that's going to that, or a lot of brown people that went to that, you have those little awkward situations and conversations. So, and that's a scary thing. It's not scary I'm coming out at you with a knife or I'm about to hack your neck off scary. Right. But it's just man, me in the woods, I'm with an all-white family. People are asking me these questions. I'm getting hypnotized.
You already ran into a cop who was racist.
That was the scariest part of the movie. Right. Oh my God, he pulled off by a cop. That was the worst part. So yeah, it's like an inside movie. Black folks get it.
Man, but I don't know. I just feel like it's crazy that even when you put it in movie form, even when we say it, that these situations happen to us, they are very awkward and unnerving, or whatever words that we may use or adjectives to describe, that we still get white people that will say something like, I think the movie is racist, when there's literally 3 white people in the movie. And I don't even know if I could categorize them as necessarily racist, because they weren't going out of their way to be racist. I mean, what they did was causing harm to a particular race. So, I guess you could say that. But
I think
it wasn't overt
you can
racism.
Safely say people are racist when they kidnap black people and take their brains, bro.
No,
there's nothing more racist than that.
It's scientific exploration. What are you talking about?
Yeah, this is kind of, to me, this kind of goes all the fake. I'm not even sure these. I glanced at the article you said. I'm not even sure this stuff is I think these are just some alt-right crazy person. It's kind of like
the writer was a crisis actor.
Yeah, these people. It's like anything that even remotely political in this environment today. It's there has to be a counter side about why this is that, and so there has to be somebody. If it's a Russian bot putting it together, or if it's some crazy person putting it together, or maybe they even have a point. I don't know, but it's always there has to be some other. Why this is bad?
We're in the age of trolls, man. That's all that is.
It's troll. Yeah, that's what I feel. So it's just a movie. The evil people were one dimensional. That's how most movies where they have bad people, they're usually one dimensional. They're just pure evil. In this case, the family just happened to be white, and I'm sure they're going to be the next 200 horror movies will be the opposite, the way they've always been, and it won't be that way. Right. And nobody will bat an eye.
Dies first.
Exactly. So what? Not a big deal, but it was a fun movie. I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. I wish I had seen it a little earlier. Definitely not scary. So if anybody hasn't, the few people that haven't seen it out there, check it out. It's great.
Cool. All right. Well, I think it's about that time, gentlemen. So we gonna.
Well, let me ask Paul one real quick question.
Yeah, sure.
Paul, answer this in 1 minute or less. Oof. But I saw something on Twitter, and they were talking about, it was a Hispanic person that posted, and they said, the black people got Black Panther. We happy for them. It's wonderful. They said, now it's time for a Hispanic hero, because the only person that we got is, Nacho Libre.
Which was a white dude.
Superhero movie they got. So, right, exactly, which was Jack Black.
Yeah.
So, when is the Hispanic horror movie coming out, or what would you like to see in that?
Dude, we got. I think we had to tee this up. We had to cut this off, and we have to think of something.
That's for next
time.
Let
me think about what we could have. But definitely, we are the Hispanic people. We are definitely lacking in representation in blockbuster type movies. I mean, we got our own little TV channels and things like that. There's definitely our own little industry, but it's definitely not mainstream in America. And no, I mean, like that's the thing. That's the funny thing about living in America, and you hear it's always presented as a black and white issue. We could probably this is actually probably a good top for it to bring up. Let me think about a little bit more about what, to have make some funny funny things, but also have some better points. But yeah, I mean, there's just it's always black and white, and that's all it is. But there's brown people out here too, and yeah, there is no superheroes for us, and that's the way it's just gonna be, probably for a long time, unfortunately. But
y'all step y'all game up. The little Miles Morales, the little black Spider-Man, he's Hispanic.
The closest we got is like Benicio del Toro in Sirico or whatever like that. He could be the next Superman or something like that. I don't know, but let's cut. We'll cut this part out. But let me think about this for next week or something like that. This week,
Paul, since you afraid to say it, I'm gonna go out here for you. Okay, I'm a rep for the Brown delegation right now.
Okay,
so I'm calling for all of our listeners, all 7 of y'all,
right,
to boycott Netflix until they get a Hispanic superhero. And sign what about that $20 million.
What's that fat dude name that comedian? What's that dude's name? How much money he make? Is he making more than Monique?
Oh, you talking about? Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Iglesias?
No, I need a superhero movie or a horror movie, and I need the main character to be Hispanic, or else we are shutting down Netflix.
My loves, yes.
My loves.
There you go.
So on that note, Ryan, go on, take us out.
All right, so we did it. Another episode completed. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Actually, Ishmael, I'm gonna throw it back to you for the spots where we can be reached at. So I don't mess up our Twitter handle again.
We can be reached. Yeah, you can definitely catch us on Facebook. We got the Facebook page, the Black Delegates, at the Black Delegates Pod, I think is the actual direct link. Or you can find us on Twitter. We are Black Delegates. There is an underscore between Black and Delegates. And hit us up on Twitter. Follow us on there. And that's about it. The Black Ryan on Twitter for Ryan. You can hit me up, Ghetto Phenom, although I'm probably going to change my name next week. But for now, follow me at Ghetto Phenom. Black_Delegates, the Black Ryan, and hit Paul on his two-way pager because he is not on social media.
That's right. Not on social media at all.
All right.
That's a wrap. We'll check y'all next week.
Peace.
Peace.
Deuces.